Hello and welcome to the AVRUM ROSENSWEIG show.
Welcome to one of the internet's best podcasts, where we dive deep into the lives of the extraordinary and fascinating people who leave an indelible mark on our world. Join us as we explore their captivating stories, remarkable achievements, and unique perspectives that shape history and inspire generations. Get ready to embark on a journey through the lives of inspiring people unlike any other.
Hi, folks, and welcome to the show. Indeed, I am AVRUM ROSENSWEIG, and I am very, very happy to be here. Delighted to be with you. I hope everybody's well. I remind my listeners and viewers, and perhaps those new ones who are coming today for the first time, welcome, that the reason why I do this show is that I want to remind people that we live in a most beautiful world, despite perhaps a cloud hovering over us, that our accomplishments over the last 6,000 years or 2 billion years, whatever your predilection is, have been magnificent. Only to look out my window and to see the architecture that has been accomplished in my neighborhood, how the roads run, how people dress, what we contribute towards those who are more needy than us. There are so many accomplishments that we have to see and we have to look at and we have to be cognizant of and not get caught up only in the challenges, the difficulties of the day. It's very important that we count our blessings. So that's why I do the show. And I do that through inspirational interviews. And today I am very, very honored and very, very happy to have with me Ivana Chubbuck. And I'm going to tell you about her in a moment. She is indeed a highly inspirational person. And I welcome you to the show, Ivana.
Well, thank you. I thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Ivana Chubbuck is the creator of the widely adopted Chubbuck technique, an acting method taught in universities and accredited studios all over the world. Her students, Halle Berry, Brad Pitt, Charlize Theron, Gal Gadot, Sylvester Salone, Eva Mendes, and Shia LaBeouf, among thousands, have gone on to win major awards, including Oscars, Emmys, and Tonys. Ivana is also an author of a best-selling book called The Power of the Actor, The Chubbuck Technique. It is a magnificent book reflecting Ivana's thoughts and techniques about acting and life itself that we can win if we set out to do so by overcoming our trauma and challenges, that the actor can inspire hope and convey the belief that individuals can indeed affect change. The Power of the Actor is filled with fascinating, inspiring behind-the-scenes accounts how actors, writers, and directors have mastered their craft and accomplished success in such a difficult and competitive field. And the book has been translated into over 20 languages. Australian actor Travis Fimmel said about Ivana, her book, and her technique, Ivana has taught me that a character's intentions are best revealed within behavior, that behavior can contain the layers and richness of their pain, desperation, and need, because words can lie. Behavior tells the truth. Ivana lives in Los Angeles, where she runs the Ivana Chubbuck studio. Her daughter Claire is an award-winning filmmaker and a Chubbuck teacher. And her legacy for furthering Ivana's mission of empowering through the arts. So, thank you so much for joining me. Delighted to have you as a guest.
Well, let's get to it.
Yeah, let's get to it. Exactly. I firstly, I was very interested in your last name, Chubbuck, which is actually your married name, right? And
Yes.
I don't know if you know this, but it derives from the Old English word chub, plus the diminutive suffix oc. And you know what it means? It means lazy fellow.
Whoa, that's not me.
That's not you at all. That's not you at all, right? Ivana Chubbuck. It's a lovely name. It must be
that. So it's like I'm not taking that on because Gottfried, my original maiden name, means freedom and creation of God. So I'm taking that one. That's the birth name.
as you ought to, actually. I'm very much into human behavior as you are. In fact, as we talk more so about your technique, I think, the viewer and the listener will find that so much of what you do to teach actors and actresses has to do with one's behavior, has to do with the idea of winning, of becoming victorious over one's trauma. And, reading up on your history, it becomes obvious as to why you might have gone this route. Your mother, God bless her soul, she was not, let's say, a friendly mother. She was not affectionate in nature. In fact, she was quite abusive towards you. And in some of the interviews that I watched of you prior to this one, you would say that your mother said awful things to you, that you would never succeed in life and you wouldn't tell. And I want to share with you that I had a similar experience with my father once sitting down with me and saying, Avram, you and I will never be successful. And that broke my heart. And it's a narrative carried with me always. Yet you overcame that. How did you manage to overcome such difficult beginnings?
I think what people don't understand is that it's because of those things that have happened to me, and that's just like skirting the edges of all kinds of other things that I have done and been a part of that has been very, very self-destructive and also very abusive in my at me. It's like we are what who we are as people is we have choices. We have a choice to make with the information of our pain, our issues, the things that have happened to us, and it's a road, two choices to make. The road of least resistance, which is to let it just bring you down, be defeated, be self-destructive, believe in the narrative that's been thrown at you, or the path of most resistance, which is the one where you have to use, in spite of and because of the things that have happened to you, that you're going to overcome and win. And you have to have that kind of, I'm willing to be beat down. I'm willing to be told, have naysayers. I'm willing to deal with more abuse to try to overcome because it's the people that say that that allow that information, the bad things that have happened to them, and just life, general life, and that they allow that to be the narrative that you continue to live out, and then ultimately at the end of your life, you wish you had done something different. I made a choice that I said, I know it's going to keep happening, and I know that I'm not over it. Then it's never over. Things are going to keep going on, but it's how I take that information in is how do I resolve with that information? What is the life lesson here that I needed to learn so I could keep that kind of thing from continuing to happen in such a dynamically horrific way? How do I find catharsis with that information, with that life lesson, and then to be able to allow myself to move on to the next part of life happening and things going on. There's no, it's a constant process of being seeing things as like as pain can equal prosperity. Pain can equal prosperity if you choose to make it so. So it's the process of thought, soul searching. It's a thought process of saying, "Am I worth all the bad stuff?" And to yourself, well, no, I feel like I'm worth more. But in order for me to be able to really truly understand how to overcome, I have to understand what happened. So I have to understand the psychology of why so and so did whatever they did to me. What happened to them? It's not just about me. And if I just explore my experience, then I'm going to it will be a difficult thing to get over. But if I say these people, this person, depending on the circumstances, I've had more than my mother being a problem. My age, it's 72 years old. There's been plenty, a couple of marriages, and just life happening. Things going on. Teachers that have tried to screw me over and start their own schools, saying that they were my technique, and on and on and on. There's been so many things that have happened, but each one becomes a new adventure to how do I overcome this one? How do I use the pain to explore growth? How do I use the pain to win with? How do I win? What does win mean? Win doesn't mean that you actually have like an award in your hand, like you, or the proverbial award. Winning means trying to win. Winners are people who try to overcome and win. They're not necessarily people who actually have the prize. So I always use the example of Rocky, Rocky One. Rocky One is like it's an iconic movie because he didn't win the fight, but everybody remembers that he did win, and he did win.
Mhm.
But because he tried to win so heartily, overcoming obstacles and obstacles and obstacles, that people say, this guy's a winner. So they remember their takeaway is he won. And that's what we need to do in our own lives. Is not to think if I don't get the prize, that means I'm not a winner. Being attempting to overcome and win makes you a winner. This is a super important thought process because then you can move on and be able to say, I did everything I could. So I'm going to win in spite of it, because of, in spite of it, because of. It's in spite, but also because of. And I wouldn't be the person I am today if I didn't have my mother. Truly, my mother made
How does
me a
that work?
survivor. How
Are
does
you
that work?
grateful to your mom?
Well, it is one of those like kind of an oxymoron version of grateful, but but it's
Right.
like the concept. The concept is like if I could go back in time and say she didn't do the stuff she did, of course I would take advantage of that. But time machines don't exist yet, and so I can't change the past, but I can change the way I see it. So I see it as like the underbelly of what made me the person I am today. I chose not to let her narrative be mine. I chose to say I'm going to help other people find their own personal narratives that have been thrown at them, to be able to say, how do you change that through your acting, your writing, your directing? How do we do that? There's a 12-step system in the book.
Mm.
There's all these stories, about, star stories about how people utilize that information and their script analysis of the part that got them the award or success, or just people loving what they were doing. The kind of thing that we need to get people to relate via our character, but our character is personalized so that with our own stuff, so people are going, this person is me on this journey. Now I self-destruct with it, but I'm watching someone actually win with it. Well, then maybe so can I, and it gives people hope. So I always tell people that our choices are, they cannot be just your pain splayed out on the table, because nobody needs to watch that. The bottom line, if you really want to watch pain, profound pain, just look in the mirror. That's what I always say.
True.
So the thing is, if you want to give people something, do something with your work, with your art, to change. I call it empowerment through the arts. Then you have to make choices you're doing that. So you're showing people how to do it. You're giving people hope that they
Ivana,
can. Yes.
one of the things that people often ask me is,
Hmm.
you made choices, i.e., me, and I did make choices to make my life better. I had a certain vision as to how I wanted to be, and I thank God every moment that I had the wherewithal to make a good decision in life and to push forward and to accomplish many of my goals. Now, there are things that hold me back. I do have those walls that I just have not gotten over yet. I turned 65 yesterday, and I'm still trying to get over those walls. But I think the question that a lot of people ask is, you were abused as a young person by your mom, the woman whom you were supposed to be protected by. Yet you ultimately made a decision to create a very, very productive, beautiful life, to have a wonderful daughter whom you're a good mother to. What do you think it is that allowed you to make that decision where other people are still struggling to get there?
Okay, I'm gonna repeat because it's a really important concept. It's like life keeps happening to me. I have allowed a lot of continuous abuse from other people, and I just have to keep it's a work in progress always. It never stops. So, and my intention was never to be a famous author or a famous acting teacher. It was never the intention. The intention was to help others to help myself. I'm empowering others to help me. It is, in some ways, it's a self-centered, symbiotic reality. So it's like I'm helping others to help me. I'm not just selflessly giving. I'm giving to get back. And so I see
Yeah.
people, life's changed. They say it changed my life. With similar things that I'm going through currently. So it's never over. It's and then between with helping them through their work, and that therefore helps me to understand my situation for me to overcome bit by bit, piece by piece by piece. But there's always going to be there's going to be times where I wonder. It's I'm all about empowering other people and with great success, and whatever fame comes from it is incidental to me. But I have allowed a lot of abuse in my life, and I have not walked away fast enough. I let it happen for long periods of time at the same time that I'm empowering other people, and then finally getting that enough information to be able to move on. So it's a constant work in progress of us finding our way and to be able to help others on their journey, which is and the most important aspect of it. You're not alone. I haven't figured. I'm not Yoda, you know. I'm not the guy from Tibet. So I am not.
Dalai Lama.
What I am. I'm Dalai Lama. Yeah, that guy. So it's like I'm not.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm somebody, a human being of getting through life and seeing the beauty of the pain because it makes me a survivor. It makes me someone who's learned a lot about people in life, become a more informed, evolved person as a result of a continuous things that come at me and how I deal with it via my teachings for other people. So I help you to help me, whatever it is. And so that's what we look at, like when we break down a script, is what is the mission for the character? How does that relate to your mission that you're trying to deal with in today's world? And which is psychology is based on things that have happened before that make you make today's life decisions. And so how do we make them a more powerful statement, a dynamic journey, which is I want to see someone who's trying to win, not sit in their stuff. I want to see people be able to find some version of catharsis as the character, and then hopefully for your personal needs as well. Um, the issue is it's never over, and anybody who thinks that well, I'm a loser because I didn't get to that place. What makes you a winner is it's a constant, you know, it's a constant attempt to overcome and win with using the pain, not ignoring it, not pretending, being in denial about it, because that just festers it. The stuff that hurts you that you don't really look at, I mean, deeply look at, then what you're doing is letting it fester and then becomes, I call it emotional cancer, so it's like it festers and it creates all kinds of issues that you shouldn't have to have if you just look at it. It's like, I am somebody who, with my mother, for example, she's not the only person that's done stuff. It's again, life happens. People die that you don't want to have die. People break up with you that you wanted to stay with. Someone that you love very deeply doesn't love you back. I mean, I could go on and on and on. Life happens, but how you take in that information should not determine a negative narrative, but a survivor's need to overcome and win with it. It's just, and it sounds simple, but again, it sounds more simple than it is to activate. But there's a system in the book that is but for actors, writers and directors, but it also seems to serve for people that are in other fields, and also not just about work, but social relationships too, because basically acting and or writing a script is always about human relationships and trying to overcome whatever is on the page that creates the obstacles and the drama of whatever your overall objective is, and then therefore your scene objective, and on and on and on. And and so it's like it's constant work, but it's satisfying work. Because there's light on the other side. So that back to the choice of the path of least resistance, which is it's easy to take your pain and be defeated by it. That's easy, least resistance. Most resistance is going to be spiders and snakes and rain and sleet and branches bumping into your head and rocks being thrown at you. But when you get to the other side, it's like, I did it. It's so
Yeah.
satisfying that you.
Yes. What I find very compelling as well is I would say with all confidence that I'm a really good dad. I'm very confident of that, and people tell me that all the time. I get a sense you dedicated your book to your daughter. You said you've made the journey so much greater. You speak in terms of one who would be a really good mom. How did you manage to figure that out? And I'll just preface that by saying I've always felt that I'm not enough for myself. I do this podcast because I want to learn from others about who they are and then apply it back to myself, as you were saying before, right?
Yeah,
Right, exactly. How did you figure out how to be a good mom?
I try to do everything opposite of my
Right,
mother.
right. You just do the opposite, exactly. Yeah.
But here's the thing, because there's no perfection in anything. The idea is there's a whole new set of problems that erupt from trying not to be something else.
Yes.
And so my mother's like a nurture, and her abusive words, I would hover over my daughter because I once, just as an experiment at 15, left home for 2 weeks to see if I would be missed. Now I have six brothers and sisters, so maybe she just didn't notice in her countage that there was someone missing, but nobody ever tried to find me. And
Yeah.
so the thing is, like, I became a hoverer. So I became too much. So it became made her feel like, and she honestly told me to stop doing that, because she said, you make me feel like a loser because I feel like you're hovering equals you don't think I can do it myself. So it opens. I'm just
Yes.
giving you one example. So in the attempt to not be what and that's most parents really do try to not repeat the sins of our own parents. But in the attempt to do so, we will create a whole new set of things that we're trying to overcome. So I would like to say I'm a good mother, but I'd like to say I'm a work in progress of being a
Yes.
good mother. My daughter is 37 years old, so the thing is, it's like, and we have a great relationship. However, there's struggles. There's always going to be struggles, because there's going to be things I'm doing in an attempt to be a great mother that's actually turns out to be a really terrible thing to do to her, um, or um, or she misinterprets something that I'm doing, again, in the attempt, or and here's the other very important thing, that in our attempt to overcome and not be our, say in my case, my mother, there still exists inside of me my mother, because that's what I grew up with. That's the role model that I know. So there's been times where I'd really literally start to feel like I wanted to get violent, and I'd have to stop myself. There was a couple times when she was little, when she was 4 or 5, when she was just out of control because she didn't have all the language and the skill set to be able to have a true communication, but she would just react like children do, and I'd feel like that need to go do violence, and I'd lock myself in my room, and I'd say, Claire, you need to go someplace else, because I'm calming my natural and organic impulses out. And also, one of the things that's important, like I always use science as my breakdown of human behavior, is that trauma is genetically connected. So my mother's trauma of being molested when she was 13 by a family member, by her uncle, is that she that trauma passes along to me, and then therefore passes along to my daughter. So then there's, what are we going to do about that? Because that trauma also affects my behaviors, and that's that they just came up with that as a fact
Yeah. Right.
5 5 years ago. So
Yes.
like there's all this like new science stuff that comes up about human behavior that I take in. This is what I use to be able to just keep adding to the human experience to make really cool decisions for the script analysis for my people.
Have you felt deep love in your life, other than from your daughter? Has someone loved you deeply?
You asked, has someone loved you deeply? You didn't ask if I love someone deeply. But so yes, I've
Well,
had.
you seem like a really loving person. You really do.
Oh, yeah,
You're.
I love a lot of people. And I love you, man.
I love you too. I love you too. But have you been loved deeply?
I have been loved deeply by so many people all over the world. It's like I have the best life because wherever I go, I love you. I love you. You changed my life. You're magic to me, and I have that all over the world. I mean,
Yeah.
truly, I really love. And do I love them back? Absolutely. I've had two marriages. They were based in love. Stuff happened later that made it not such a loving relationship, but we were in love when we got together, and but again, life happened, and abuse came my way, and I had to deal with that. Yeah, love has been, and my sisters, brothers, we love each other profoundly. When the proverbial poop hits the fan, what happens is that we get together. We're a strong, solid unit. There's a lot of love that surrounds me. Love was not the issue with my mother. I don't doubt that she loved. She just was abusive, and then she was mentally ill, and so she had no control over whatever triggered her to her bouts of like insane, violent rage. Um, so I understanding now more about human behavior. I can forgive her behavior. I can't. I don't have good memories of it, but I can forgive her that. But I also know that this is not really about me. This is about me exploring with between me and you how to help others through either being a really good audience to the people that coach with me, or are being taught by me, or taking the book and figuring out ways they can like take that information. It's just a good philosophy of life. Take the pain and the insecurities and fears and embrace them, because that's what makes you special. Stop the shame. The shame is what stops you from being uh, spiritually and emotionally successful.
You talk about working with Charlize Theron, who's a number one, one of the number one actresses in the world today, and you were working with her on her script and how to deliver her character.
Mhm,
And her brother died in a car accident.
mhm.
And I was thinking to myself, Ivana, that is a very, very deep trauma to go through,
Yeah.
especially the immediacy of it. I lost my sister during COVID, and then her husband died shortly afterwards. It was overwhelming. And I was thinking to myself, how would I appear in a film? How would I take that trauma, as you said, and turn it into something productive? Win. How would I be hopeful? So, how did you actually do that?
Well, this happens all the time. This happened in class last week with someone who had lost their husband to a motorcycle accident 2 weeks before. And I said, "You don't have to do your scene in class." And she said, "No, I want to," because the whole concept of this is taking current stuff and trying to figure out how to deal with it in a way that's going to help you heal faster. in the work. And she said, no, I want to do it. And she ended up doing it, and she using it. And she was so free in her work, and she was doing all this like beautiful stuff that wasn't, it's not talking about emotion, but just exploring life, because death had happened to her. So she had this, and it was just profoundly compelling performance. And so I said after, normally I give notes, but I said, look, I don't really have notes for you because that was beautiful, but give me 3 adjectives of how you feel. And she said, freedom. I said, huh. And then she said, I don't care if anybody judges me. That was 2. 3, she said, I feel beautiful. And I said, wow, that's pretty amazing. That's what people get when they work this system. That's why a lot of people say it's dangerous to bring up this stuff, or how could I bring up my death of, but if you use it to overcome and win with it, and in her case was to heal, that was the win. She actually, it really opened up. I mean, she looked brighter and lighter. And before she did the scene, she was weeping. And after I felt like there was a weight, literal like energy weight lifted off of her, and her skin had color to it, which she didn't have before. She just seemed like there was this kind of sense of this peace, but when she said freedom, I don't care if anybody judges me, and I feel beautiful. And it was like, wow. That's what we do. That's what we do. And so with Charlize, that's what we did. And there's a lot of people who have dealt with like very important traumas or losses, I should say, that were current, that they gave some of the best performances of their lives using this way of thinking. Just a way of like applying it. But again, it's a process. It's hard work to be good. It's a lot of work to be good at anything. And you have to have a strong work ethic. And my book is read and reread and reread and reread. It's considered like, kind of, it's just new information you get every time you read it. Now, the new one, the updated revised, is 20 years worth of new information, the 20-year anniversary.
Yes, I
So
know.
there's all these things
Mazel
I've
tov.
learned about people. Oh, thank you. And that I've learned from 20 years of being all over the world. But before the first book, I had never done overseas workshops, different cultures, China, Japan, Australia, Italy, UK.
Philippines.
Huh? Just, yep. And the bottom line, that's what I figured out. We're all the same. We've all experienced the same
Yeah.
stuff, and we have
Yes.
shame from the same things. And we all self-destruct in the same ways. And we all feel defeated in the same ways. We also can also grow and see it differently and construct, not self-destruct, construct. And I would say, take your pain and make a beautiful picture out of it. And how do you do that? It's you got to read the book. Also, it's an audio version too. So to me, people listen differently than they take in as a reader. So my feeling is, if you rather just pick reading, because you take in more as a reader than listening. But the combination, because I voice it, and I use the 12 steps in voicing it. So you'll have like me feel like I'm actually talking to you personally. It was very set up so I could do that. It was very
By the way,
important.
Eva Mendes said about your book, she doesn't leave home without it. I
That,
said it's the ultimate compliment, right?
yeah.
I'm very curious when you're speaking about your student who had lost her husband to a motorcycle accident only a few weeks before. Yet when she stood in front of the class and stood in front of you and was acting out, obviously a part of a script, she felt free. Well, can you explain what happens inside of us? Because I've had that experience where I'll come into a podcast deeply saddened, deeply melancholy, yet I'll come to life during the podcast itself. What do you think it is internally that helps with that?
Because the my system is based on being proactive. So not just I'm just sitting in the information of her husband's
Yeah.
motorcycle, but being proactive and trying to make choices that are just doing things like make that person smile, make that person comfort you, make that person whatever the actions and beats are. That's a whole nother one. I think it's that's step 6, but the specifics of how you do it, but why it happened to you, right? It happens to you in this way because you're helping your viewers, listeners,
Yes. Yes.
listeners and viewers, and to be able to say to listen to whoever you're talking to, and knowing they're getting that they're getting knowledge from this that's going to help change whatever they're going through today. And today go, oh, today I'm going through this, and I just listened to something Avram just had a conversation with it helped me, and that's what's going on because me and you are having a conversation that we're both energized by, right?
Mhm.
And uh, and so it's like the idea that we both know that first of all, your questions and your takeaways are helping me feel good about myself, and then me responding to you is helping you feel good about yourself, and then that translates into your viewers having similar experiences because remember we're all the human animal. We all share similar issues and similar reactions to those issues like depression, anxiety, panic, defeat, and so knowing that first of all we're not alone. Everybody out there, you're not alone. We all feel these things, but it will make your journey a more fun factor. Very important to have fun. Will be your attempt to overcome things because anything, it's like anything. If we are really trying hard to do something, it's exciting. It's exciting to just like put yourself in the driver's seat and go, let's drive this car as fast as it can go and see what I can
Yeah.
and climb that mountain to the top, no matter what gets in my way of trying to get there. Because God, once I get to the top of the mountain, I'm going to feel pretty damn good, no matter how many avalanches and I can't breathe and the food ran out and you know all the bad things that could happen getting up the top of a very tall mountain. But once you get to the top or even near the top, you know, I did this. I did this. And the being proactive it's a difference between sitting and stuff, which makes it even more depressing, which makes it even more anxiety because all you can do is think about what could happen and because what could happen is your fear of things you have no control over, so it's going to get bad. And so if you just are proactively trying to go after some kind of change or resolution, it takes away the fear that you're going to have something really bad happen to you because you're so busy, you're focused, tunnel vision into getting it.
You have a marvelous sense of being in the present. I love people who are excited, who are excited about. I tell people all the time, I'm so deeply in love with life. And there's not as though I don't have many, many foibles, and things happen to me, as you were saying before about yourself. There's shit going on all the time, right? But I just do my very best to embrace as much as I can. And I try to pass that on to my listeners and viewers, right?
Yeah.
I want to ask you, you've dealt with A-list actors and actresses in your career, Halle Berry being one of them, Brad Pitt, Charlize Theron, as I mentioned, Sylvester Stallone, Eva Mendes, Shia LaBeouf. I'm interested in your work with Gal Gadot, and the reason I am is because she's Israeli. I'm a deep lover of the Jewish people and of Israel. And I often watch her during her interviews, and she also seems like she is extraordinarily present, that she's aware of what's going on around her. Did you find with her that there was a sort of uniqueness about her character because comes from a country that is so under siege? She herself has been a soldier. Was there any of that in terms of your relationship with her?
Well, this was a while ago. This is before Wonder Woman, and in fact, I have a story in the book about the the fact that what we were using. The first time I met her, I was doing a work. I have a school in Israel, Tel Aviv, Um, and she was a star, but she was a star as a model, and she wanted to take my classes before she started like really acting. She was acting some things in Israel, but not like the international star she became today. Did a scene from Hitman, one of the original Hitman. There's so many Hitman movies. But anyway, it was a long time ago. And so the main thing about her character was that she was trying to get her power back because she was being she was put in a place where she was the character where she was kidnapped and made into kind of a slave for men, and had to give them sexual favors, and then her leaving that, and then having a thing about being empowered by her pain to overcome and just really become an empowered woman. Now, she at the time was, and most people aren't, most especially women, are give away their power. And so, even though she's from Israel, it's still true there as much as it is anyplace else in the history of history. Like women, like if you got Orthodox Judaism, they have to be at the back of the synagogue. They have to be covered up if they're married. They have to be. You can't have sex with them on their period because they're dirty. It's like they're. And I'm just not. I'm not. I love the Jewish religion. I love the fact that. That the tradition is of talking about thousands of years of survivors. I mean, talk about survivors. The Jewish people are definitely that. But women are just told that you're not as good as men, and it's been in the history of history. And that's my cultural anthropology background. So she was coming from a victim-y place, and I gave her notes that would help her be a more empowered female in this piece. And then she started working with me privately in auditions and things that when she had some of those coming up, and we just worked on empowerment, being not taking the victim out of being a victim if you're playing someone who's victimized, and how to become this like empowered woman and her choices. And to me, what's interesting, here's a person that we worked so hard to make that be so, that the first thing that made her famous was Wonder Woman. Isn't that cool? It's a great story. And so,
Yes.
but again, I'm not making a comment that just because someone's in the military doesn't mean that makes them, because there's social uh, realities that women and you as a man don't understand because you don't never had to experience it. But it's just a matter of course that we've had to fight the good fight, but we often lose. And so this is the history of history. Literally in all societies around the world, it's like there's always the women have to take not only just a back seat, but oftentimes we're considered less than human. And it's so it's the issue is I want her to represent for women out there and that was part of the things we talked about was you need to represent for women out there that you're not alone. And two, there's answers. You don't have to accept the stuff that's being thrown at you that you're not as good as men are. And so that's why Wonder Woman. There's been so many movies like that where women are like empowered, but they haven't made the same impact as her movie Wonder Woman did. Why? Because she used this way of thinking that we have to not only do it for ourselves but for the world, and mostly the women in the world. And although men do suffer from a lot of exactly the same issues, women have historically had that foisted upon them as that is who you are. Do you know that what's interesting to me is back in the day, the concubines of different countries, they were the only ones allowed to read and write and know the arts and understand music or any of the arts. Only concubines. The wife was not allowed to read or write or be a part of the conversation. They were there to make babies, and that's the history of many, many, many cultures, and so this is what we've inherited, but for me, it's like I'm helping empower just men and women. And if dogs would let me, I would help them too. Joke,
Yes.
okay, because they already just love bugs, you know. Anyway, bottom line is we need it. Human beings need it, especially during times that, like again, my father was a Holocaust survivor. Times that we're dealing with right now, where we don't know, where people are attempting to um, create some version of oppression or continue an oppression or whatever. And it's our jobs is, to me, I used to tell my artists, you're an artist. You have the best pulpit of all, better than any religion, because more, it's like even people who have no money, they'll have a television set. You know,
Yes.
so the thing is that they may not care about politics of people who don't have a religious, leaning, but everybody has the pulpit of the acting, writing, and directing world. So your job, your obligation, is to be able to help change the world. To empower them through the arts.
Yeah, I thought that was a fascinating point that you've made in other interviews as well. The idea is that more people watch movies than go to church, you actually
Right?
said. And I'm thinking, yeah,
Yeah.
that is true, right? So your pulpit is enormous,
Yeah.
enormous. I want to stay with sort of this the cultural road that we're on. I know that you've worked with Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey is a Canadian. He's a
Mhm.
comic, funny as hell.
Mhm.
Do you find, be it with Jim Carrey, who's a Canadian, or you work in the Philippines, you work in Russia, you work in Israel, the United States, that you adjust according to the culture? And it's in essence what I'm saying is when I speak to my American sisters, there is a different awareness in America than there is in Canada. We speak differently, we respond differently to things. Do you have to adjust according to the culture?
No, because I'm talking about basic the human animal. So the human animal
Yeah.
exists in everybody, not cultural. What I do is avoid the cultural reality because the idea of breaking down a script is like is meant for everybody to relate to. So I want somebody in Timbuktu to be able to relate to somebody in South America also relates to. And the only thing that equates all the cultures, all the communities, because art has no geography, because it is about having everybody relate to it like this is my experience too. And it can't be if you change it up for each person's cultural realities. And so I just go right to the science of being of the human experience and what makes us tick, the survivor instinct, the need to win, it's a primal need. Because there's archaeological fact that before man became even upright, that they played games of sport and contest, which means that the primal need to win is ingrained inside of us.
Mhm.
And so that aspect of things is millions of years old. The concept of theater is 2,000 years old from ancient Greece. And so the idea is like doing the math of millions of years, we have to like deal with a primal reality. What makes a human being a human being? What are their needs? What do they suffer? What they do to overcome whatever they're suffering, whether it's emotional or physical? Because there's always the survival instinct gives us answers. It's the psyche that doubts and it stops you from continuing on the journey of like solving and creating change and education. And so what we have to do is not only not allow the doubt to make our choices, but to embrace the doubt so that we can be fearless. But we can't without embracing our bad stuff. Our bad stuff has to be embraced so that we can understand the good stuff. Basically, bottom line. So if I want to be fearless in a choice, because that's always more exciting to play and to watch, is that I need to understand my fear. If I if my if I want to get my power back, and that is what the piece is about, I need to understand my powerlessness. It's called the yin and yang of life, and I'm certain, but I'm not positive that there's something about that in the Old Testament, and so and in the
I'm sure.
Torah. So the idea that you can't understand, what you want to accomplish without understanding what drives that need to accomplish it, and that's why the Torah will be looked at for the until at the end of time, because there's always something more to glean from it, something more to learn from it. Because it's not 2 plus 2 equals 4. It's 2 plus 2 equals orange. And what does that mean? Two
Yeah.
plus two equals shoe. 2 plus 2 equals the roof. I mean, whatever. The point is that there's all those things that I always tell people. It's so fascinating to me. People are so fascinating, but you have to look at the science of what makes us tick, because that's what makes it so fascinating. And so we're not looking at my mother caused me harm, or or my husband died in a motorcycle accident. We're looking at what happened to me in my system that affected me so strongly that I realized maybe I took this person for granted, or I realized that that person was someone that I was overlooking all the abuse that I was getting from that person. But you start to explore, because the death makes you have to like look at things and really, really examine to me, I love exploration. Be curious. I think the most important thing that people can be is be curious. Why? Why? The power of why. Why is this?
Mm.
So does this affect you because this person you allowed abuse for so long, that you didn't look at it when it was happening, but the death helped you understand that, no, I don't want to do that again. I gotta change some of the way I look at things. And do I deserve that, for future reference in other relationships? Or this person was so kind to me, and I wasn't very grateful about that when it was happening. So I gotta like tell people that I gotta learn from that. That I gotta tell people how grateful I am that they were there for me during a time, or just to be there, sit and have dinner with me. So the thing is that it's our takeaways from tragedy, from our fears and our stuff that's happening to us, are takeaways to learn from. Everything has the ability to be able to learn and grow and evolve from. Everything, good and bad. And so it's like but it's up to us to do it, because most people don't. They just keep on thinking my life is bad, and that, oh, yet another thing bad has happened. That's just my life. So be it. Well, the so be it, people. It's like, get over yourself. It's like, change it.
Yes.
You have the power to do so.
When you're working with an actor and actress, will you bring abuse in your life that's happening at that time to the fore? Will you include that in your teaching? And part B of that question is, I'm thinking about all the actors and actresses that you've helped, and you're bringing out their unconscious. You're bringing it to the fore, and you're saying be victorious with whatever your feelings are, whether they're bad feelings or good feelings. Win with those. Have you ever helped one of your clients through your work, through a difficult period? They may have said, Ivana, I have to tell you something. I'm going through abuse right now. And you worked it through acting?
Yeah. And so what I do is, it's also in the new book. It's a thing called emotion. It's called emotional diaries, and it's a quick way to get to your subconscious, the place where we don't go to, because our conscious mind there is our natural body's checks and balances to keep us from having to have our subconscious be available. So if we just lived in our subconscious, we'd be in pain constantly. And something that maybe happened 10 years ago it feels like it happened just now. And so a conscious mind, checks and balances is a way to keep it changes narrative, it negates, it denies, it forgets. But our subconscious it's all there. So how do we get to the subconscious? There's a way to do that, and then a way to, because the way this particular exercise works is you give it a prompt that gives it a purpose, and so that you take that this happened, but I'm going to do this with it so that I can use it to overcome and win with it. And the prompt gives you that. But it's it's 30 pages in the book to how to do it, but it's really helpful to bring that stuff up. Now, what I do is I often times to help people feel that they can, sometimes people just don't know what it is because they've been in denial for so long that they just, or they just forgot that it ever happened, but they're still working off of that information. So that exercise is super important, and it also drives you to win with it. But that's how it's structured. However, are there times when I'm just talking to my actors, directors, or writers, and I say, well, this character is going through this. I know what that feels like because I talk about my present stuff or something that may have happened in the past. But I talk about my worst the worst stuff that's happened, or some of the things that I've achieved because of the worst things happening and how I dealt with it. But I'm very real and very open, and then that it gives them permission. That happened with Beyonce. It's like she was already famous. A lot of the people you're talking about were not famous when I met them. They were like, the system helped them become famous. And there's some people like Sylvester Salone who was already famous before. But we're just helping upgrade his work and his ability to explore acting from a new place. And so taking the advice. So with Beyonce, what I did was I said, this is what I think is your struggle. But I'm going to tell you how I relate to that because I told her my struggle. And then she just felt comfortable to open up. I mean, like literally she says it in her, one of the biographies about her, that within 10 minutes I had her crying, but a good crying. Like, it's like, oh, yeah, I feel so, like I can really use this in my work and all this stuff. And so what happened with Beyonce was this is before she started writing all the music about women's empowerment. Mm-hmm. And so we were using a lot of like how to empower with her pain and her issues and her stuff. And she called me a year later saying, I need you to watch or listen to Single Ladies, which is her first foray at women's empowerment conversations in her lyrics and her music. And she said, because it's our work together that I put into this, I think you'll be very proud. And and I was indeed, and all the music she's done since then is all about empowerment to human beings. That's why she went from pop princess to becoming an iconic musician. And it's all because she gave people hope through her music and the lyrics of her music. And so this goes, that's what I'm saying, it's something that we have to look at. You're not, again, I keep saying you're not alone, but like that's why I always let people know my stuff, because I got lots of stuff. And because I'm Jewish, I take a great deal of pleasure in my guilt.
So do I. I get that.
It's like, I feel so bad.
I know, I get that.
I don't have the guilt. I don't know. Who am I anyway?
Ivana, when Beyonce gives you that nachas, as we call it in Jewish, that pride, does it stay with you, or does those old voices creep in? How long does the pride stay with you?
Well, that pride stays forever. My self-doubt is the one that creeps in. I'm always going to be proud of her. My feelings towards the other people, that will stay forever, 100%. The feelings about how I am not good enough, that comes in, creeping in all the damn time. And just even in this book, I rewrote. The first one took 4 years of like 25 rewrites for the first one. This one is like, it's so much writing and rewriting to bring in the new stuff because I really want this to people to really get it and like really easily get it and be able to change their lives through just reading of the book after my passing, legacy stuff, you know, and so I really feel good about it, like on the outside, but I have a lot of doubt that other people are going to feel the same way, and I feel that that's okay. My doubt makes me work harder. I always tell actors when they're about to go off and do something, um, uh, when they're really, can I pull this off? And I'm afraid. I said that means it's going to be good because we have doubt. We raise the bar because we feel like, oh, I have to add more. I have to do more. And so we do. And then we said, I still have doubt. So I do more. That means it's going to be better. But if you've said, I'm finally done, um, go with God, I'm done. It's not going to be good. Doubt see, this is the thing about, I call it the spin. You could spin anything to being a really good thing or a really bad thing. Anything. Like rain. Rain is going to make my naturally curly hair wet and very awful. It's going to conceivably put holes in my roof. Maybe there'll be some flooding. That's the negative. The positive, it's going to make my plants grow, make them beautiful. But plants to also grow to create food on the table. And the rainbows that usually follow a good rain. It's like something to look forward to. It's like you could spin anything. And so doubt, I just spun doubt, which could also bring you into that place where you just feel um, very depressed. Or you could take doubt and say, I need to do more. It could be better. That doubt is something uh, provide forward motion, proactive motion to change and growth. And I can take anything that people see or myself because I did. Look at I'm paranoid as the day is long. So I mean, if I send a text out and someone doesn't answer like within fairly short period of time, I'm not talking minutes, not hours. I'm just, what did I
Yeah,
do? I've been known to send text saying, whatever I did that you hate me now. It's like, I'm sorry, but I don't know what I did. So let me know what I did so I can fix it.
I
And
get
people,
that.
no, it's big. So, but now it's funny because I tell people it's funny. I said, you're going to get a text if you don't respond to me because I'm going to think you hate me. So, so everybody knows and they make jokes about it because, and as they should, and I make jokes about it but I can sit in my paranoia and that's because most people have are paranoid to my extreme, maybe not so much, but everybody experiences paranoia, so that they just take it on and she's being funny with it. So I'm saying we relate. Mine may be a little bit worse or a lot worse, but the thing is, you relate, and I can make a joke about it. It's it's like, and then my own private time of being like, I give myself, I call it morning time. MOURNING, not morning like in the morning. So when something bad happens, I need to give myself a couple of days where I can be depressed, where I can be like upset. Because if you don't give yourself that time, it's gonna find its way in a bad and ugly, awful way.
Mhm.
So I give myself a good old pity party, and this party is part of pity party. So
Yes,
I send off a great party of pity and self pity, and then I do that. I say, good, now Ivana, let's move on. Let's move the f on.
you. I like when you swear. By the way, in one of your interviews, you said fuck empathy." That's what you said. You know, yeah, I like that. I like you too. You're a lovely person, Ivana. Lovely person. And if I were studying acting, do you only teach acting?
Writing and directing, but yeah. But
Yeah,
I
like
just, yeah, if I start to do the life coach thing, I'm not a therapist. I feel that people who give advice, I mean, I think my system bleeds into your life. I have many people use it as a self-help book, have nothing to do with
That's
entertainment
what I'm
art.
saying. Yeah, that's what
But
I'm saying.
but I don't profess that, and I want to make sure everybody understands
Got
and
it.
get that. But know that that's information that helps people that I know for sure helps because it's helped those people. But I have had people like I had a stockbroker, a doctor, a psychiatrist from Harvard, trained psychiatrist who said to me, "Your book should be required reading in the the psychology department of Harvard." And so it's just I get these kinds of like you changed my life. I'm not in the business, but you changed my life reading your book. However, I just think it's really wrong for people to put a shingle over their saying that I can change your life when they don't have the proper credentials to do so. I think it's dangerous, and I think people need to be trained to do that. But if you want to take on this book and you have no desire to be an actor, or you want to just try it because it feels good, because why not? Is that this book will help you as well. Just find conceivably. I know it absolutely works in the arts, but it conceivably can help you in your personal life too by just changing the way you think. Um, but I say it's for the character. It's for the characters on the page if you're writing or directing. But the for what your takeaway, if you really have like huge issues, you really need to seek a therapist. And I think that therapy is like really important. I've been known to I've spent a lot of money and time in therapy, and it's been extremely helpful. And it also has helped me to understand more about me and my things that have happened to me and my takeaways from them that have made me screwed up, is that I didn't understand them as well without the therapy. So therapy, and for anybody who's an actor, well, therapy will fix me. Therapy doesn't fix you; it helps you manage life better. It doesn't take away the pain. It takes away the ability to see it as pain. That's all therapy is. Therapy doesn't make you forget stuff or to change it. It just changes the way you operate in life with that same information.
Oh,
You know,
I completely agree with you. My goal right now is to take the catastrophe in my life and realize it's not catastrophe at all. It's just the way I'm looking at it. It's life. And that helps me a lot in terms of my day to day, very much. If
oh,
Ivana, if tomorrow was your last day, God forbid, if tomorrow was your last day,
poo poo. You gotta go
would you
poo poo.
say poo 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 poo? Would you say Ivana Chubbuck, well done, well done, you lived a good life?
If tomorrow was my last day, I would I be able to say that? Yeah, absolutely. Um,
Yeah.
that's why this book has been written, is so that I can say that. Because my journey isn't over because I passed away. It's in the book.
I love the passion that you put into it as well. In the new edition, I think the first one was 2004, was it? Way back
Yes.
when?
Yeah,
You
way
you
back.
said there's a lot of red in this one, which is a power color. And
Uh-huh.
you talked about the hours that you put into writing, getting up at 6 in the morning and doing this till 10 at night. The incredible passion. Right. There's a lot of red in and that is because you see red as being a power color.
Well,
I do too.
it is a power code.
It is a power color. So I just want to take a moment to wish you congratulations on your success. And as I said before, you're a very interesting person because on one hand, I can sense your vulnerabilities and I can sense your strengths. I can sense kindness, but I can also see that you can be very tough around the table. That all comes out. Say,
But I
say
am
that again.
truly, I am. I, I said I'm very kind. I think in terms of kindness. However, I could be extremely tough. I believe in you, and you're not bringing it. It's just like you got. It's like you have it in you. Let me. And sometimes I have just like tough love, tough love, tough love. But it's all the love is part of that equation. But sometimes some people are digging in their heels and they just don't want to believe in their own
Yes.
ability. And so it's like up to me to sometimes strangle it out of them.
Yeah, well said. Exactly.
But that's euphemistically, that is not like actual.
So nobody should think that you're actually
Yeah.
strangling your clients. Now,
No, no.
I have been playing around with AI for the last few months, and
Mhm.
part of that is bringing a poem to
Mm,
my show. At the end of it, my guest. So, following is a poem about Ivana Chubbuck, and it is
mm,
composed by, put together by AI. Here we go. In Los Angeles glow, where dreams take flight, Ivana Chubbuck crafts her art with might. A technique born from heart, her namesake's grace guides actors to truth in their sacred space. Hallie, Brad, Charlize, stars so bright. Through Ivana's lens, they found their light. Oscars, Emmys, Tonys, their triumphs soar. Her teachings, the key to unlock their very core. In the power of the actor, words take wing. A best-selling tome where hope and truth sing. Trauma faced, challenges met, victories won. She shows the way for each determined one. Travis Fimmel speaks of her wisdom clear. Behavior reveals what words might not dare. Pain, need, and heart in layers unfold. Through Ivana's craft, the truth is told. Her studio stands a beacon of art, where Claire, her daughter, carries the heart. A filmmaker bold, her mother's heir, empowering souls through stories that they share. Ivana, a guide through struggle and strife, teaches the brave to transform their life. With every role, her legacy grows, inspiring change where the spirit flows. What do you think? What do you think?
I think that's beautiful. Is there a way you could get me that poem? That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
I'll send it to you.
And I usually hate AI because it takes away creativity, but that works for me, that one.
That's not bad,
It's,
right? I will send it to you.
yeah,
I
no,
want to
that's
I
really
want to thank
good.
you very much for being with. Thank you. I enjoyed it very much. I think in many ways we speak a similar language. I think what I'm trying to accomplish on my podcast is what you're trying to accomplish through your work. And that's really nice. That's really nice. So thank you for that. Thank you.
Could I put up my how to get in touch with be in the classes and the online class?
Yes.
There's online classes. There's and studio classes in Los Angeles and online classes for all over the world. So it's ivanachubbuck.com.
Fine. I will put that in the notes too when I publish the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, at the end of my podcast, I always like to sort of give out a synopsis as to what you might want to take away from this. And I think it's very clear. I don't think we have to reach too deeply that listen, life is tough. And no question about it. Some people have it more tough than others. And I've seen that in my work with the homeless and the impoverished. But I've also seen people who have gone through circumstances that are absolutely dreadful rise up and accomplish great things in life. And despite the abuse, as an example, Ivana Chubbuck went through when she was young, um, she managed to become renowned for her work and to stand up proudly and to work with A-list actors and actresses and regular folks around the world, right? Take a lesson from that. When things are extraordinarily tough, you know what? Don't sit back and say, "Oh my gosh, how I can never overcome that." No, flip it around like Ivana says. Turn that into your power. Be a winner. Be victorious over those difficult times because that's what life is all about. Ivana, do you want to add to that at all in conclusion?
Uh, yes, I just want to say never give up.
Yes, and never give up. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us. I wish you a beautiful week until we meet again. As they say in Yiddish, the vernacular, sei gesund. Ivana, do you speak any Yiddish?
Plots.
Plutz is a good word.
I could plots at this wonderful interview. How about that?
Plutz, the Plutz, sei gesund. All right,
Yeah,
we'll see you folks
there
soon.
was
Thank
there
you
was
very
no
much.
gas. It was all good. I'm very limited in my unit.
That's okay. You speak other languages, English very well. Thank
I
you,
got
folks.
you. First and second.